This is the sound of worlds beyond number.
For a brief moment, illuminated in blinding light diffused through the red clouds, the silhouette of a bird of prey with wings wide as castle walls appears and is suddenly gone as your party hides amongst the shadows at the edge of the gray pines here in the Shroud Mountains. Moments after, the figure who has made some great working of magic that you do not recognize as lingua arcana watching from miles away, moments after they are gone, streaking across the sky as several airships momentarily descend from the clouds and quickly raise back up again. Imperial airships that were hiding in the clouds, patrolling around Mount Korhai. You watch the interaction of this powerful sorcerer appearing long enough to do something to Firebringer and then quickly getting away. But you see, yes, this perimeter is guarded. The war is raging. Your sneaking through the forest is exactly what is keeping you alive, because don't let the early morning silence confuse you. You are in war. The ships are already gone, but you can see the scores of rubble across where whatever strange arcane light was loosed from cannons aboard those vessels has marred the landscape here.
Do we all see it, or was that initial,
You all saw it. You all saw a streak of light. This disruption of, essentially, the shapes and the violence and the strangeness and the magic of it all was so disruptive. But moments after it happens, it's just very clear. A line of engagement that has rested for a moment to the east and west of Mount Korhai was suddenly disrupted as a powerful spirit was seen on the mountaintop, and action was taken as soon as the sun rose and the creature became visible.
Can I make an Arcana check to try to figure out what just happened?
Yeah, go for it.
Dirty 20.
The creature was banished.
No! Fire!
What? Oh. Do you know what that was?
He was our friend. He helped us escape from the palace, and then he brought us to you. And we were supposed to take him home.
Okay, best I can tell, that Firebringer, is that what you said? Was banished, not killed.
By whom?
The sorcerer of Gauthmai. The head of a noble house. The most powerful casters here.
Where did he get banished to? Can he come back?
I don't know. The magic here is of people with connections to the spirits on a sort of blood level.
Like Yorin.
Like Yorin. So, my guess would be they wouldn't want to hurt a spirit unnecessarily if they are constantly in community with them. So maybe back where he came from.
I think on that modified 20, what you would have seen, I mean, it's so far away to see, you couldn't see what the somatic or verbal components were, but you saw what looked like an arm outstretched. Banishment is an abjuration. It looked like a lot of the way that sorcery works is not only about the bloodline, but the things that have been promised to the bloodline, things where people are representatives of their family and that their family has allegiances and ties to things like that. So it looked like, just from this body language of this brilliant figure on the edge of the horizon, it looked like something was being abjured rather than condemned, like something was dismissed back somewhere.
Yeah. It was giving, go on, get, if that makes you feel any better.
Oh, yes, it very, very much does.
It does.
Thank you. It seems like a very powerful entity that did that.
Yeah.
You see that Sworn kind of smiles, looking at how, not in a evil way, but just the degree of rattled that Ame is. Sworn is like, okay, these are like our. He slotted you in as like, these are our translators and guides. They are not civilians, but they are not in the military. You know, like where he sort of smiles and goes like, very, very frightening. To be clear, the thing that I'm the most concerned about, if we were to run into that person, was how they quickly left. Everything before that is impressive. That leaving is the thing that lets me know that they're not to be trifled with.
Yeah.
Sorcerers like that are not what you need to worry about here in this place. Gauthmai is forever made strong by their noble houses, but I'll be frank, those to the manor born are sometimes loath to lead from the front.
Yeah.
And so they are deployed carefully and infrequently in the manner you have seen just there. Moments like that, where something new and strange develops and represents an opportunity for a shift in the tide of battle, that is when you tend to see them deployed. They are not keen to use their nobility, those high sorcerers of the noble houses of Gauthmai. They do not like to use them as blunt force instruments, because there are often, and he gestures to the clouds, airships in waiting, and that's how bloodlines end.
So the airships, they're here. Could they potentially...
If they dip below the cloud line, they'll be easy open targets. In my time running down whatever's happened with Silver and his contingent, I've not been given any news to think that it's gone well here. I left with 8 in hopes of finding whatever remnants remain to extract them, or to figure out what happened to them, if they're gone.
How much further?
We'll be there by nightfall.
The rest of the day?
You look and see that these wizards are haggard. There has been no rest this evening. You see, he says, Archmage Apprentice, we can push through and get there as soon as possible. On arriving there, we may not be battle ready.
We need to rest.
I dip closer to Suvi and I lower my voice. Suvi, are the contingent that you bring with you, are they experienced in this area or in this kind of warfare?
One of them, yes.
Perhaps we should send the rest home?
Suvi will switch here to the message cantrip. I think you think of kindness. The reason we are as injured as we are now is because we were met with forces immediately entering here. And they're alive because Sworn and myself were with them.
But if our mission is stealth and precision, then perhaps we keep those that are well suited to that task with us, and the rest might prove a liability.
The ones I've brought are, to the best of my understanding, not a liability. And I don't know what we're walking into.
Very well.
Are you okay?
Yes, of course. Are you okay? And I look at Suvi as I say that, and you know I'm not really truly asking you.
Yeah, of course.
With any expectation.
And I think that's why Suvi just, in her head, she's looking down. Like she's trying not to look like they're having a conversation in their head. No. No, I'm not. We buried 2 just a few hours ago.
I'm so sorry, Suvi.
Thank you for coming.
I'm also sorry about how things ended, but I do hope you know. I always will. I think Ursulan is disappointed.
Disappointed?
We were gonna go see his family.
Oh, God. I'm so sorry.
It's okay, but perhaps you should give him some sort of opportunity to sit with this and assure him that, I don't know. He also cares very much about you and is always going to be here.
You manage to get a sort of place of long rest. Ame and Ursula, you actually don't need to rest at this point in time, but is there anything that you do in terms of like taking watch or guard? Like basically, you see Sworn even asks like, should we post a guard or post watch?
I'll take watch, and then also, if do any of your retinue need assistance or healing?
Yes, please. And he will not admit it. Please start with Sworn.
Ame rounds on Sworn.
No.
Like
What?
You just gotta let it happen.
Wounds. I'm trained in medicine, and also it feels like you could probably use some tea.
I won't say no to a tea.
You're not gonna say no to either.
Ame immediately busies herself patching and prodding and bandaging and steeping.
Sworn gets very, he treats himself like a patient, so he's just neutral face letting you work on his body.
While this is happening, I'm going to step over to Ursulan. They need to rest, and we need someone to watch.
I can do that.
Would you like me to sit with you?
You're more than welcome to.
You see that also Corporal Lahaun, the Azure Battalion, she has no spell slots to regain, so she is just going to keep guard, looking sort of off in the other direction. Partway through the day, people are like coming up on like having been resting for about 5 hours. Sworn is healed. He says thank you, and he passes out. He goes to sleep.
I'm a little saltwater taffy, please.
Is this medicinal?
Oh, no, it's just a nice thing because you did such a good job as a patient.
I'm being patronized, but I used to have this all the time when I was a kid, and I really appreciate it. So pull your teeth out.
If Suvi hadn't sort of dozed immediately, she would have enjoyed that moment. But she's like, I'm going to keep such a good... Watch, I'm watching.
So Ursulan, it's pretty much just you and this other woman, Lahaun, who's the Azure Battalion. You just look and watch someone who's part of the battalion that was the Imperial Battalion that you snuck past in Port Talon to get out here. But you see that about like 5 hours in, as the day is getting a little bit later, you watch a flock of birds go off way over the forest, kind of flying in synchronized patterns, move over in another direction, take off somewhere else. It just looks very coordinated. They fly. They don't appear to notice you. About 45 minutes or so after that, 3 large eagles fly and bank around a mountain in the direction the birds went. Way downriver from here, you see shortly after the eagles land, just you can't hear anything, it's so far away, but you just see some light from the tree, some unnatural magical light.
Suvi.
Watching.
It's all right. It seems the birds have not discovered us here, but I just see something. I'd like to do my best to describe it to Suvi.
Yeah. Give me a history check, Suvi.
25.
Further south from here, having nothing to do with you, a Imperial foray has likely just failed to push the line further forward. And those 3 eagles, your feeling on what Ursulan describes is that first flock of birds were birds, and the 3 eagles were not.
Do you want to know what I think happened?
If it is important to you, Yes. If it is to the Citadel, no.
Then that had nothing to do with us. And Suvi, like, you just see something like fold in on her. Because again, it doesn't have anything to do with us. But it is indicative of, like, Suvi is starting to catastrophize in her own head about what she might be walking toward. Like, that's what you see.
Your guys' rest actually ends before the sky is fully dark. So there's probably a few hours of ruddy daylight left, but it's like mid-afternoon. And with the cloud cover, unless it's like high noon, it's still low visibility. You get up. There's still some day left. You are within striking distance of Abbis. You will not have to rest before you arrive there. Sworn looks over and says, might as well lead the horses. It'll take longer, but these horses can't gallop in the forest anyway. Might as well try to be as safe as possible.
That makes sense. Okay.
All right. We'll lead the steeds through the pines and just make as much headway as we can. We'll probably arrive wee hours of the morning.
Can I ask, in case there is any interruption or disruption, is it our intention to defeat the foes guarding this fort, or simply to extract Silver and his friends and be on our way?
The speaking mirror broke when the Wizard Silver spoke to you, Archmage Apprentice.
Yes.
There is simply no telling, Bear, what situation awaits us there. In my advisement to my commanding officer, I would suggest that we make a decision when we know what the lay of the land is. In an ideal world, we will be able to complete the Wizard Silver's request, and hopefully others did as well. It was a bulletin to as many speaking mirrors as he could reach. I do not imagine that the Wizard Sky is the only one who answered. And here, Suvi, I don't know what Suvi believes.
I'll make just look at Suvi at this point.
Deception check. 14.
Yeah, it's like, I think Suvi, there's a thing of like, well, the Wizard Silver is a name, he has a name cloak, he's a wizard of the Citadel. And then another of you is just thinking of someone on the ground screaming medic, and maybe a medic comes or maybe they don't.
That's a dirty 20. I swing my head over to Suvi, my face sort of looking like, does she really truly think that there are other people coming?
Suvi doesn't think anyone else is coming. Suvi doesn't think they are alive anymore.
You all pick up and head out. Moving through the forest. I assume you are moving stealthily. Let me get a group stealth check again.
18 for Ursulon.
5 for Suvi.
5 for
It's a
Suvi.
9 for
Ame.
I have a bunch of like Samwise Gamgee style like pots and pans on my back.
Wait. Does Vandal give me the help action?
Yes, Vandal can give you the help action.
I think Vandal just writes on like as Vandal slips, because Vandal's 8 inches tall and is like scurrying out and is kind of a little bit of a scout, will occasionally write just deeply ignorant things in languages over places where like heavier footfalls would be noticeable. So he's like, dumbass, like over a pile of sticks that Suvi will absolutely walk through.
Not here, you moron.
Yeah.
Moving through the space, you guys are heading through the ridge, and about halfway, now you can actually see, you're like, oh, okay, I think there's a moment, Suvi, where you're like, this is so fucking grim. But after several hours of travel, you realize you actually are going to get close to Abbis. It's deep night now. And you see that there are, in a way, it's like, well, I am doing it. I have crossed enemy lines. I am moving unseen through territory they control. I have my allies here. And soon I will be there, and then that's the testing moment. That is the moment of truth, as they say. Yeah. Part of the way as you're going, with that high stealth roll, you avoid it largely, but you can see it in the night that as you're moving, there is a source of light on the ridge. As you're coming down through the grapevines, slowly descending from the heights of Mount Korhai to get to what will be the rim of a valley that you know Abbison to be in. Abbison is a fortification, but it's also just a larger logging town in the forest here. They build like the airships, like the gondolas, the masts of these ships. A lot of the timber for them is harvested in this part of the world. You are moving down the ridge, and instead of sort of stumbling on it, you see in the distance there is a small stone crofter's cottage. You're getting to the point where you're close enough to Abbison that you're going to start seeing little stone cottages and outlying people. You're getting towards a population center. You may even see little paths or the things like that where you may be able to like mount up on horses again. But of course, the closer you get to Abbison, the higher the population center, the more likely you'll run across friend or foe or something like that. In the distance, with a small candle in the window that is sputtering some dim light from this cottage, you see that there is a crofter's cottage through the pines that has 3 white horses stabled at it with Azure Battalion saddles on them, and that the door is partially open. It's like a little crofter's cottage. Door is partially open, candle in the window, and it looks like some soldiers have either barracked in this place. Unclear if the people who were in this home are still here anymore or not.
Corporal Lau.
Wizard Sky.
The candle in the window makes it hard to see out, but is a signal. Do you know what that is?
It's not a signal of the Azure Battalion, but it's certainly a... Perhaps this area has been cleared. I mean, those are Azure Battalion horses.
Well, if somebody, happened upon the battalion, they'd still keep the horses.
Yeah. I'm gonna go check it out.
Alone?
I'm pretty sneaky when I need to be. Unless you want to join me.
I will come with you.
Suvi's going to give a little nod to Sworn.
Sworn goes, Wizard, you're going to go investigate?
Just want to see what's inside the house. Maybe give us a better sense of what's ahead of us.
He's like, you sure you don't want us to go clear it before you enter?
That's noisy. And we don't have time to stop and rest more.
All right.
We'll be right back.
Fox, can you also maybe go around and ensure that nobody sneaks up on them and see what we can see?
Sure, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, you want me to go sneak around?
Yeah.
Okay. And he begins to sort of take the long way around and head over to the house. While he's doing that, is there anything that you guys want to do from a distance as you're looking at the house?
1, gotta re-up mage armor like you do.
Cool.
I've learned from the last time.
You and your fellow wizards mage armor up.
Suvi grabs her arcane focus, her ring, and turns the gem in on itself. And as it does so, the gem disappears, and then the ring disappears, and then the hand disappears, and then she disappears as she casts invisibility on herself.
Suvi?
I'm here.
Oh.
Suvi, are you approaching the house invisibly?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to go the opposite direction as the fox and try to get around and away from that light so I can see in and figure out who's inside.
I'm going to do a little quick survival check and just look at the grounds around the cottage. Footprints or signs. Has this been lived in recently?
I need everyone here to roll initiative.
Welcome to my part of this beautiful campaign. There's no pancakes here. This is not a place of breakfast.
That's 23, natural 20, 23 initiative
Amazing.
for Ame.
13 for Ursulon.
19 for Suvi.
Ame, you are first to act. Go ahead and give me your survival check.
15.
On a 15, there's something really strange. The cottage has a little area in front of it with some flagstones, a little sort of water well, and where the light of the candle kind of fades, sort of past the well, past the horses, where the gray pines start up again. And there's gray pines all around the cottage, but it's these ones, you kind of see some ones that look a little bit scragglier, at like the cottage is sort of facing ones that look a little bit less healthy, if that makes sense. On the ground in the roots of like near the roots, there's like a little sort of rocky promontory, and in the middle of that is a hawk's nest on the ground, and it has 1 or 2 eggs in it, and you've never seen a hawk build its nest on the ground like that before.
I wordlessly hold up a hand, point to the hawk nest on the ground.
Suvi, it is your turn. What is your reaction to Ame pointing that out to you as you begin to walk around the cottage?
I mean, immediate reaction is eyes up and like trying to cue in for whatever that's about. Oh, I don't know if I want to get closer to it. I think there is like an immediate hold there. Like, that's not Azure Battalion anything. I don't trust this building at all anymore.
So you stop walking.
Yes.
Ursulon, your turn.
I'm just going to open my divine sense.
Give me a perception check.
5.
Your divine sense registers everything past the hawk's nest as being of the world of spirits. You are looking at the cottage, the horses, all of it, and suddenly this emanation of, what do you see when you close your eyes? And you see that emblem of Bahadi for a moment floating in front of you. And you see the fox getting closer to the cottage.
I may stop the fox.
Fox, stop, I say in his head.
Roll me a dexterity. Because of this divine sense, you can roll this with advantage, but you're going to roll me a dexterity saving throw for the fox.
19 plus his dexterity.
That's a dirty 20. The fox pulls up and stops suddenly, and as he does, his back feet slip and kick for a second, and he catches onto and hops back and looks around, unsure what he just slipped on. The fox and the 3 of you give me a stealth check right now.
13.
9.
18 plus how much for Fox, and then 15 for me.
The fox stops, skirts back to you. For a brief moment, that candle, you know, like when you lose focus looking at something and it kind of shifts into 2 things for a second? Almost like your eyes unfocus. There's suddenly 2 candles side by side that flicker and look and then are gone. There's something very wrong with this house. Those 2 motes of light flicker and move, and as they move forward, the house is suddenly gone, and the 2 motes of light, twin candles, in the face of a spectral and translucent being, long arms, wearing rags of floating smoke, a spirit of the dead, someone who has been called to atone for some ancient wrongdoing, with the symbol of a sorceress house on her head, and as she hovers in space, you see the house, the horses, the forest behind it are open nighttime sky. Suvi, you stand 2 inches from the edge of a cliff. You look down and see hundreds of feet below and all across dozens of Imperial scouts that have fallen to their death coming to this house. The hawk's nest, built on the edge of the cliff face, the trees along its edge exposed to the wind and storm. The fox having almost fallen to his doom. The spirit hangs in the air, searching. Two little candles burning in her eyes. She resumes her trap, and you see a cozy little cottage in the mountains.
You be back, son.
I held out my arms for the fox.
The fox gets up in your arms and says, "Hey, boss,
Yes.
let's go.
God, yeah, it's bad.
Let's go
It's
home.
bad. Oh my God, you did so
home."
good. Yeah.
Gonna go regroup with the group.
You skirt back, and now that you've come, the house is sort of well through the trees at this point. Sworn says, "What did you see?"
It's nothing. That's a cliff. It's a spirit. It's a cliff. There's so many dead. It's bad.
It was a trap.
Huh? Do you know what that was? Do you know? I'm not trying to ask you, do you, either of you, know what the fuck? That was so fucked up. There were so many bodies.
Seemed to be a spirit with a symbol. I do not recognize it, but
What was that symbol?
I'm going to immediately make the symbol of the Bahadi. I already know
Yeah.
that is, this?
Give me an Arcana check, anyone who wants to.
25.
13.
11.
Suvi, you're searching back through that symbol. You recall you've spent your whole life learning about what your enemies can do. It didn't occur to you until you saw that spectral form floating there. The candles specifically make it come back to you. You didn't know that this was a thing that House Bahadi specifically could do, but you make the connection in this moment. There are sub-houses of all the great houses. And when nobles of those houses break their bonds of fealty or loyalty to one of the great houses, they can be bound in servitude after their death. So you think that is a traitor to the House of Bahadi, who in her life was a sorcerer gifted with the power of illusion. And now she sits here as an eternal trap and was probably put here. There's something that is like a talisman or artifact or something that is like buried into the cliff somewhere, and they just created a trap for Imperial soldiers. But this is just one of however many spirits over centuries that owes its eternal and undying loyalty to House Bahadi.
So fucked.
Okay.
Do I know, is there any way to set spirits that have been bound to rest?
Yes, theoretically, it may not be at your disposal.
Sure.
But this is a knot that Grandmother Wren would have had a way to untie, but this may be beyond you in the moment.
I'm not that advanced yet.
Advance for what?
Go. For helping to usher the spirit into beyond.
For once in our friendship, I think we're in alignment here. I would love nothing more than to aid this spirit into not killing people and being free and moving on, all of those things. If you don't have a way off the top of your head to free this, I have something, and I pull out this vial. It's got like a dispelling agent in it.
A dispelling, or perhaps Wavebreaker, if it broke a binding on me, could do that as well.
My best guess is there is something here physically tethering that guy to this place. So if I give you something to swing at, would you like to try to swing?
Suvi, you have incredibly limited resources.
Yeah, it hurts when you say it, but you're not wrong.
I'm just worried at what this could cost.
Sworn nods and looks at Ursulon and says, "We will make note when this land is liberated and returned to the stewardship of the Empire, we will be able to come and remove this and certainly the many other traps like it that dot this landscape.
All right. Hey, Vandal. I need you to make sure that no wizards walk off the cliff they don't see right there.
Fuck off, Imperial soldiers.
It begins to just write
That'll
that.
work.
You hear the bottles in your bag. You see Cyril's like, I could put it in poem form.
Fucking fine. Can I let out Cyril?
He starts to dart around.
You get 4 verses.
That's so many.
You gotta give them a thing to do, or they become like quite unbearable.
You see he starts flitting around going, there once was a spirit from Gauthmai who lived in a cottage quite so high. It wasn't quite there, and you'll fall through the air. And
That's
when
4.
you... It's a limerick. A limerick is a verse.
A single verse. That's what I'm saying. 4 verses
I
was
should
a lot.
get 4 limericks.
Oh no!
Your ink demons. Is this the levity you were looking for, Lou?
Yes, this is what I wanted.
The ink demons mark this place as being dangerous and return.
And I'll have Enzo. We're gonna test out Enzo's sort of note-taking ability, and I'm gonna have, since everyone's getting out, and Enzo's gonna add this one to our map. Of like,
Gotcha.
So we're gonna try to keep track of any traps that we pass by.
Enzo is like,
I would be more than happy to act as cartographer for our journeys here.
and you see that he takes an arm and begins to,
Bud,
I give him a little compass.
and he does make like a topographical map of the foothills you've been traveling through, marking the Watcher Stone, marking the cottage that you found, and everything else like that. And you see he's having
doing a good job.
He's doing a good job. You see that as he gets to the end of it, he's like, maybe some improvements.
And we're good. Back to the bottle.
You move from this space, traveling further west. You arrive at an outcropping of cliff that is not traversable. You can't come down from here, but it allows you to look at the valley below. There is so little light with the cloud cover here. And it's a blessed thing because it means that you've been able to move largely unspotted, right? You've been keeping your magic down, staying hidden, but at around what is either, the witching hour or an hour or two after that, you can see Abbis in faint outline, like deep, dark night under cloud. Straining your eyes, you see the little whites of buildings of a logging town built around a waterway where the wheels can turn in the water and run the mills, a lumber yard up at the top. You smell rank, acrid smoke. There are several, suddenly like moving along the cliff, you see them come into view, one and then several and then perhaps more than a dozen bright green witch fires burning in a devastated town. Abysin is all but destroyed. You see that nestled at the top of the town, the highest altitude, there is a massive imperial lumber mill, and you can see in the sickly green glow of witch fire an imperial banner, tattered, still flying. Standing at the outside of that mill, that lumber mill, are 2 18-foot tall constructs. The constructs have had ad hoc jury-rigged repairs made to them. So they are partially stone, but one has an enormous circular steel saw in one hand, like lumber equipment has been replaced with something that was lost or destroyed in combat, and has been basically upgraded with this more fragile but also more deadly thing. You see that another one no longer has an articulated arm on one side, but instead just has a massive timber log, like a ship's mast, and you see that it comes at the elbow so that it juts partially out so that it could swing and hit something behind it and come back around. You see the windows of the lumber mill in the Safely Green Fire have been smashed out, and there is a pulsating beam of lights, purple and green, like you saw a long time ago. But similarly artificial wizard lights of staves and imperial cannon lining the windows, pointing out. You can see from the raised buildings and destroyed wreckage and burnt tree matter in the plain of, and I say plain, it's at quite a slope, this sort of like downhill, rubble-strewn mountainside. Tons of scores, burns, and pockmarks of constant fire from these cannons. It is quiet right now, but it looks like there have been many attempts up the mountainside from Abbis and below towards this lumber mill. The lumber mill has just to one side of it, to the right, there is a massive, 80-foot waterfall that begins the river coming down from up above, and a rocky overhang above it. So it looks like it's the last place they could back up into where they couldn't be surrounded because it's just rocky crag above them and everything else down below. The roof of the lumber mill is covered in arcane sigils, all of which are set to detonate explosively on contact, specifically meaning that things can't land on the roof because everyone they're fighting can fly if they want to. In the town below, the river wends its way through it, so the buildings sort of hugging this alpine stream. There are the destroyed buildings up closer to the mill. Down below it, you see there's a small little alpine town square, a statue of an imperial hero from this town. That statue has been pulled down and destroyed, and there are massive, shaggy beasts sort of ambling in the night, snoring and butting each other's heads, bucking. You recognize these as aurochs, these sort of prehistoric horned, massive ungulate beasts. Around Abbison, you see that there is a lake at the base of the town where logs would collect. You can see that they can send logs down these water chutes to go down to the lake below where they could get bundled. There's a small airship port there where airships could come and collect the massive logs and carry them off. But that lake has been fully taken. You see that there's encampments and bivouacs around it, and you see there are probably a couple dozen tents of Gauthmai. So there's just a full Gauthmai military encampment by the lake. In that encampment, you see the symbols of House Bahadi flying over that encampment. The lake sort of ripples. You wonder if there are creatures within the lake as well, as something ripples across the surface of it. There may be townsfolk still in the town. You don't know. Even though a quarter of it is fully destroyed up by that witch fire sort of barricade defense of the lumber mill, there's still a lot of buildings left. There's signs of skirmish and combat and destruction everywhere, but there are many buildings still standing. You don't know if there's townsfolk here or not, but you know that there is a Gauthmai military encampment at the base. That you would need to explore further to see what all was there, but that's by the lake at the base of the town. Who knows what's in the town itself? At the very top of the promontory, over the thing where the waterfall is actually coming from, incredibly high and craggy, sort of inaccessible. You see that there's some rubble scattered over the lumber mill, maybe some boulders were pushed off of the promontory onto the lumber mill and destroyed by cannons on their way down or abjured or defended. It seems like someone was that some shape changers got up. You know what I mean? So
smash them with rock.
You see, in other words, you see a situation stable in its instability. Silver reached out to you a little bit less than 2 days ago, but full stalemate, but not a stalemate like the battle lines you saw by Mount Korhai, where it's like, we're testing each other, we're pushing. This is ravenous, violent, clashing stalemate of like, they keep coming up that fucking hill and keep getting pushed back, and it's costing them more and more. In fact, you can see area of like other buildings that maybe they were defending that they've had to retreat from and are now in one building.
Okay. Lessons Suvi has learned in the last 2 days. We don't trust animals, we don't trust birds, we don't trust things we see that give us hope. Suvi sees all of this, begins to put it together. I think I would have remembered and would have spent a spell slot out of my ring to make sure Corporal Lahound was covered with mage armor.
Okay.
But I'm going to give a little nod over to Ame. Come here. And I'm going to put my hand on her shoulder and cast mage armor on you.
Oh, thank you.
And that clears out my ring's slots. Suvi gives a quick rundown, not in a way to be condescending, but she just gives you that download as what she thinks is happening. They're pinned in this one building. They've thrown everything they have at, keeping this one spot. They are functionally surrounded. That's House Bahadi. That's the symbol down there. My question is, why couldn't they get out if they wanted to leave?
They can, right? They can, most of these wizards can fly.
Why haven't they?
Sworn leans in and goes, and just points down at the beasts down below and says, it's a stamina question.
Yeah.
Silver could make it a long way, but getting torn apart by eagles as you fly away is not a death that any soldier wants.
Yeah. Okay. We need to try to make contact. See what's going on in there without throwing the heat of all of this on them or us. Ideas?
Ursulan's going to look to Suvi and Sworn. Do we believe once there is light again, the fighting will continue?
Can I make an investigation check to see, the recency of, churned earth or signs of battle? Does it look like this has been a stalemate for a hot second, or that, this is a sort of evening lull and it, all the zaniness of them trying to get in or out kicks up anew every day?
Give me investigation.
Natural 20.
Ooh, baby.
You're a full day's ride behind enemy lines. You're looking at this and saying, what is the nature of this? Is this about to kick off again tomorrow? Is this a significant thing? And then you think about that sorcerer that you saw kill the sorcerer you saw banish.
Watch it.
Watch it.
Watch it.
The sorcerer you saw banish. Firebringer. That sorcerer that you saw could wrap this up. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But what you recognize, I think on that Nat 20 investigation, you look, there's a logged area on the other side of the lake with tremendous, huge wagon ruts and a road that leads off. And you see that there was a much larger Gauthmai encampment. These people are not getting reinforcements. The Gauthmai forces that are here have been reduced since this started. You don't think there's a high-ranking sorcerer here. You think, and this is sad because Silver is someone that is very dear to you and you think very highly of him. This is the mop-up crew. There's a hold-up group of wizards in a lumber mill that are not a threat, not a strategic operational threat. If Silver were to get out, he would be a stranded wizard with his soldiers behind enemy lines with no supplies. They're just waiting for them to starve. It's just a group of people waiting for them to starve. They're attacking every day to keep them harried, probably to keep them from being able to sleep.
Yeah.
And this is literally a cleanup operation. It's a foregone conclusion Silver can't win. And Silver so cannot win that the important people have already left to go to higher strategic objectives elsewhere in the region.
I think for the first time in a couple days, all of that like arrogance and indignation, like there's just a little like shiver of it as her hackles get raised at the implication as she puts it together. And that's actually a like safer emotion that is less scared and less defeated. And Suvi stands a little straighter. They'll attack again tomorrow, but they're not trying to win. They're trying to wait him out.
Can we use that to our advantage?
Absolutely. They don't think anything but a bunch of starving remnant wizards is in there. We are already more competent than they expect and can probably handle.
Do we try to get them out by stealth, or do we try to help them fight their way out?
When Ame says fight their way out, Suvi's going to actually look at Ursulon to like check for micro expressions. Because Ursulon's already thrown up just a little bit of dirt around like the nature of what this is. And Suvi's trying to like be careful about that.
I don't think you don't see an aversion to fighting. If you're fighting, Ursulon will be fighting. Ursulon won't be sent on a mission.
Yeah.
But if you are battle ready or speaking about yourself fighting, Ursulon's not like wincing or kind of hemming and like there's none of that kind of, oh, is there another way? It's
less of a like Ursulon's aversion to fighting writ large and more of a like, would Ursulon see a like decision to fight our way out versus sneak and retrieve as a violation of like, you're making me fight in your war. That's what's like, that's a very specific thing that Suvi's like just sort of checking on.
Give me an insight check.
Yeah.
God!
15.
I think Ursulon is. I think you heard it a little bit in discussing the trap. I think part of Ursulon has accepted that to save someone you care about, he has to put things that he cares about and wants to the side. And I think that there is an acceptance around saving Silver being something you are willing to put yourself in harm's way for. That means that that violence will likely occur, and that is inevitable.
Okay. We'll try for stealth.
Sworn looks and says, so we're attempting extraction and extraction alone here. The goal is not to retake Abbison.
No, I think if we attempted to retake Abbison, more than a mop-up crew would be sent. And we would just put future forces into the same scenario.
You see he nods, and it's like you think about going over the supplies for the Meridian with him, and that's just what you're realizing is like you guys showing up is 6 more or 8 more mouths to feed. Like the problem's not even solved. Even if you fight well, the problem's not solved.
Yeah.
So looking at this, he looks and says, all right, getting them out. They haven't been able to fly out. Likely, and Silver may be the only wizard there powerful enough to fly under his own power. He may just want to not abandon his
people.
they have the two constructs there. And these woods are deeply dangerous. I don't see any horses stabled there. So they would be escaping on foot, in all likelihood. There's the problem of how to get them how to get to them unseen. And then the problem of how we get them out.
Yes.
We can get to them. That I have confidence in.
Sure.
I think we'd be able to get to them. The issue is there if we get physically to them, then we may be under whatever conditions are pinning them down there.
Yes.
So the question is there some advantage we have to being outside of enemy lines right now that we could bring to them? Is there something that we could do that would open up is there some way to talk to them before we're pinned down in their same location?
We can get a message there and back, I'm certain, but I think that the advantage of us being on the outside is drawing away the forces pinning them down, yes?
Potentially. Again, we don't have a strong sense of what their daily, the duress that they're under. Ame. The fox. You're the sneakiest guy I know. Do you think you can get inside that building and find my friend Silver?
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. Easy. Too easy.
Fair enough. It's almost like we're putting too good of a... Man, is there something... Do you want to go...
Is that actually something we should be worried about, that we're putting too good at someone who will be too easy?
That honestly might be our problem. And you know what? If you can handle that, if you don't mind us overcommitting your talents to this, we'll spend our time while you're doing that trying to figure out how to not disrespect you with such an easy ask in the future.
Great. Done deal. I got it. I'm going to do it.
Okay, please be careful, okay?
I know how to make it a little harder. Can you take this? And I'm going to unpack Enzo, or at least Enzo's bottle. Can you take this in too? Because I want Enzo to communicate everything Enzo knows about what we've been doing and updating maps and just give a big download.
Yes. I actually would like also, in terms of let me get an insight check from everybody here too.
8!
14.
Okay, that's a real...
I know.
21.
I'm rolling so well.
Ursulon, the plan that is forming right now is to send an animal towards the encampment of wizards who are defending against shape changers.
Suvi, I'm worried
Yeah.
the wizards may not welcome an animal that they may believe that can talk,
Yeah.
that they may believe is in some way. So unless there was a way to make the fox clearly an ally.
Yeah.
Can you give him a little citadel kerchief or something?
Now, what is to make them not think that the agents of Gauthmai gave them a
With a little
citadel
seal?
kerchief?
You've got I think you have a...
Oh yes, is there something of you, Suvi?
Yeah. Suvi's going to cut a lock of her hair and form it into and just kind of braid it, form it into a little band that she puts around the fox, and we'll seal it with her seal as the wizard's guy.
Incredible. The fox takes the little bottle of, you're doing Cyril or you're doing Enzo?
Enzo.
Grabs Enzo's bottle.
Wait,
looks
hold
up-
on. Is that right? Please,
Yes.
hold on.
With the map?
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks up at you, Ame, and says, "Boss, I'm on it."
Okay, be safe, and I'll be checking in with you and through you for occasionally.
Great. You got it. The fox takes off. As he does so, Soren looks and says, "Is there a position we should move into? I mean, the fox may take a while. Is there a position that we should move into? Do we want to leave horses here? Do we want to ride further down towards the lake? Do we want to make it by foot higher up on the promontory to be closer to the lumber mill?
I think getting higher on the promontory feels like the call.
Let's keep the horses. We're going to have to be on foot because I don't think they have horses
Yes.
regardless. So let's leave the horses here. You see that one of the horses looks over to you, Ursulon, and just goes, "Is everything all right?"
Oh, buddy!
I'm gonna cast heroism on the horse. Have hope, friend. Everything will be well.
See, he puts his sort of nose in your chest and rubs your chest with the front of his face. And
I pull out a bunch of little crab apples from my pack, and I pass them around to everybody.
they nuzzle you.
Rations. Rations are a whole thing. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
And you see Sworn nods. The Imperial contingent, along with Ame and Ursulon, heads further up under cover of night on this rocky promontory. The fox takes off. Give me a group stealth check. And because you're only trying to, like, kill time while the fox moves, do it with advantage. You're, like, putting everything into being stealthy and moving quick.
19 and a 1 on the dice. That's
Woo!
great. Thank you for the advantage.
12.
22.
Only 6.
You guys head off up in the sort of rock and rubble and get to another alpine copse. You are, at this point, after like an hour of moving, you are closing distance through forest to the beginning of the Witchfire area. So you're almost like a short run to where the battle is going to happen, is going to pick up again in the morning, and it is about like 3 or 4 a.m., still dark. Ame, checking in with the fox. Someone roll me a luck check in front of the board.
I got it.
8.
Okay.
I would say maybe that's cocked. Ame? Erika?
Oh, yeah, that's way off.
All right,
Okay.
roll again.
10.
10's better than 8.
10 is better than 8.
Also, nice shot.
The fox takes off. He like scampers down a small cliff, jumping from rock to rock. He's got your lock of hair and a little bottle of the ink demon Enzo. Goes through woods. Ooh, a little like outhouse, small cottage. Ooh, another house. Okay, a little path, a gravel path between houses. Still mostly woody, getting closer to the town. Okay, stops, little way station. Oh, here's actually a small public house where they serve breakfast to the loggers that are coming out here for a day's work. And suddenly, you're... And the fox turns up to see the shape of a massive bear. Snorting out from around another building is a giant boar. Ame, you see this through the fox's eyes. The fox, speaking in your mind, goes, "Boss, heads up." The bear looks down and goes, "State the password." You see the fox? Ame, do you say anything in the fox's mind?
Okay. Looking through his eyes and looking at the bear, does it look like, can I guess, insight?
Yeah, give me insight.
Insights at the bear. The bear wants to
That's a nat 20!
Yeah!
Nat 20. On a nat 20, you sense a statement for a password, which is something that it seems that the fox is speaking to a shape changer. It's frightening, but the fact that the fox has been asked to give a password already indicates what the assumption of these guardians is. The fox isn't in danger as long as he plays along. But you feel the fox freeze up, hearing you in his mind. What do you do?
It's okay, you're doing fine. This is a shapeshifter, and they think that you're another shapeshifter. You don't know the password, but just play along and let them think that you're a shapeshifter.
With that help action, could you kindly roll for the fox's deception check? With advantage.
17 on the die.
Amazing!
You see, he says, "They think I'm a shapechanger already." It's hardly even a lie in your mind. And you see he spits the little ink bottle and says, "Password? Password? You want a password? Like I haven't seen 4 of our men die getting this to you. You think I'd find myself dead, stationed in this backwater heap? Fuck you and fuck your password. Get me to the man in charge."
You're so good. I love you so much.
There's nothing worse than not being able to know that happens.
Always starts crying. It's like the fox and the fucking
Oh my God,
silver
the fox
tongue.
died. What
No,
happened?
it's good.
Is he
It's good.
dead?
It's good. He met a shapeshifter who's a bear, and they asked him for a password, and he's like, "Fuck you and your passwords." Oh, thank
Don't
God.
tell him I said that, but he's my favorite.
My whole body unclenches.
You see, he goes, "Hey, don't try that with me." And you see, he looks and goes, boar. Nice first tries. Get a real shape. And you see, he picks up the bottle and scurries past them and goes, this way or this way? And they go, we'll speak to the leader. He says, I don't have time. And he just takes off. And as he goes up off the path, you just hear mentally in your mind, Ame, that sounded like the kind of stuff Suvi would say. Did that work?
It was perfect. You're so perfect. Yeah, anytime you encounter any of these types, you just tell them what you think, what would Suvi do?
Okay. And you see, he goes through the town, slinks into the shadows. You see, he stops for a second. You see there's two crows sort of perched on a well. You see that he stops for a second, puts the bottle down, looks up and says, hey there, fellas, which way do we head to? I have something that needs to be deposited up near those fires to help us with the battle effort. Do you know which way we're going? See, one of the crows just goes, and he goes, regular crows. Picks up the bottle, takes off through the town again. He arrives in a sort of shadowy area, and you see that there is a owl perched on a barrel, looking off towards the fire. As he approaches the owl, turns around and looks. You see the fox drops the stuff, nods to the owl, and just kind of slinks alongside, looking out towards it. He says, boss, can you give me just one thing somebody who's in this place might know? Maybe if Suvi knows anything about this place or something else. This owl won't stop looking at me.
The fox needs intel. He needs to fool an owl of some sort. What do we know about this place and about the location?
Does he need to weigh in? What am I?
Yeah, some sort of location.
Something that lets me buddy up with this guy.
Yeah.
He just won't stop looking at me.
Ooh, what a fun question that's actually stumped me.
You see that the owl turns to the fox and goes, are you replacing me? And you see the fox goes, not an owl, a guy.
Oh, it's a guy. I'm sorry. Tell him yes. Tell him yes. That you're the next shift.
What language did the owl speak?
Wait, what language is the owl speaking in?
Galth.
Yeah. Then I'll give back. Like, if we get the owl has asked for a replacement.
The fox only speaks Imperial, right?
Yes.
So the fox says, I don't know what to say to this guy.
I'll give him back. Yes, you're the replacement in Galith. Noble, high
house.
diction, Galith. Mm-hmm. And then the name Bahadi, if he needs to drop a name.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you see that he goes, speaks in Gauth, says that, and you see that the owl turns. Go ahead and give me a persuasion check for the fox.
That's an 18 on the die.
Go off, Fox!
See, the fox looks up and just says what to him is pure gibberish. And you see the owl goes to fly away and says something that the fox doesn't understand, but you understand Ame that you can sort of translate back. It basically says like as the fox says Bahadi, says, fuck the Bahadi. And takes off. And you see the fox goes, you're telling me. And you see the owl turns around as he hears Imperial, and the fox goes, blah, 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 blah. And you see he goes, a lot of witch fire between here and there. Boss, I made my way past all the shape changers and everything. Can I just let this little guy out?
Enzo can take it from here. You did so good, Fox.
Enzo would have never made it this far. Only you could do that.
Yeah, I'm great.
I will kill as many snitch birds as you want. Bitch, I will give you spy chickens forever.
The fox sort of pulls gets his paws on the bottle, gets his mouth on the cork, and pulls it open. You see Enzo goes,
Oh, a new location. Fascinating. Oh,
and picks up.
a lock of the wizard's hair, intended for the wizard's silver. Well, as in all things, treasured artifacts must be stored correctly.
And you see he zips off through the witch fire. There is pause. And suddenly, through whispering wind, Suvi, you hear Silver's voice. Sky, you made it.
You called. Of course. Are you okay?
You answered.
I love you.
I think we're in a lot of trouble.
That was Lou Wilson as Ursulon, Erika Ishii as Ame, Aabria Iyengar as Suvi, and Brennan Lee Mulligan as everyone and everything else. Worlds Beyond Numbered is edited, designed, and scored by Taylor Moore at Fortunate Horse, with additional sound design from Michael Gelfi Studios. For even more like this, join us on our Patreon. We'll see you there.